Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a subject that sounds deceptively simple on the surface.
Yeah, almost too simple.
But I'm starting to realize it's actually the silent killer of, well, businesses everywhere. The title of today's session is Why Asking the Wrong Question Kills Strategy.
It's a bold title, but, it might even be an understatement, honestly.
Okay, so before we really get into the mechanics, I want to set a scene. And I have to warn you, this might trigger some PTSD for anyone who works in a corporate office.
I think I know where this is going.
It's the morning after scenario.
The morning after the annual strategy retreat. Of course.
You know the one. You've just spent 2 days at some off-site hotel with, bad carpet.
Always bad carpet.
The whiteboard is absolutely covered in those neon sticky notes.
The confetti of corporate progress, I've heard it called.
Yeah, exactly. The coffee was flowing. Everyone was high-fiving. You felt so aligned. You walked away with this digital folder full of strategic initiatives.
It feels great in the moment. It feels like you actually did the work.
Right. But now, let's fast forward 3 months. That digital folder,
Hasn't been opened.
not once. Those initiatives have been completely swallowed by the day-to-day chaos. The urgent displaced the important, and the strategy?
It failed.
It failed. And this is where the guilt sets in for most leaders.
Totally. They look at that unopened folder and they think, we didn't work hard enough, or we just aren't disciplined enough to execute.
That's the default assumption, isn't it? Execution failure. But you're arguing we're blaming the wrong thing.
Almost always. The thesis we're exploring today is that this isn't usually a failure of leadership or effort or even discipline. It is a failure of input.
The input.
Most strategic planning fails before the meeting even starts because people ask these vague questions. And when you ask a vague question, you guarantee a vague result.
So it's garbage in, garbage out.
Essentially. We need to stop treating strategy like a corporate ritual and start treating it like a high-stakes decision-making engine.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because most of us, myself included, have been trained on the traditional way of doing this, the classic SWOT analysis.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, the bread and butter of every MBA program.
Exactly. So are you saying SWOT is just dead?
I'm saying SWOT, as it's currently practiced, is dangerous.
Dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, think about how that session actually goes down. A moderator stands at a whiteboard and asks the room to shout out ideas. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses?
And it turns into a total brain dump. And usually people just want to look smart or engaged, so they start tossing things out just to get their sticky note on the board.
That's the trap. Quantity is prioritized over quality. The team feels good because they fill the board. It looks like work. But what you end up with is what I call the broken printer problem.
The broken printer problem. Okay, what's that?
Imagine looking at one of those lists. Item A might be global recession,
Okay, huge. Existential.
a massive external threat. But right next to it, item B is broken printer on the second floor.
Which is a maintenance ticket.
It's a maintenance ticket. And item C is something totally subjective like good service.
I see what you mean. It creates a false equivalency. You've got existential doom next to a minor annoyance, and they're both just treated as bullet points on a list.
Exactly. It's the illusion of safety. The list is long, so the team feels thorough, but length does not equal depth.
They haven't made any hard choices about what not to do.
They've just listed stuff.
And I'm guessing this is why we see those stats, like the one from Kaplan and Norton, that say something like 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategies.
It's not because 90% of people are lazy.
No, people work incredibly hard.
They do, but they're working hard on a list of conflicting priorities. A great example of this strategic drift is Intel.
Right.
If you look at Intel roughly between, say, 2015 and 2024, they lost about 60% of their stock market value.
Which is just wild because Intel is full of some of the smartest engineers on the planet.
Absolutely. It wasn't a lack of IQ, but look at their planning. They were likely doing these comprehensive reviews. So they look at their list and see dominant market share in PC chips as a strength.
So they just keep optimizing for PCs.
Right. While the rest of the world was moving to mobile and then to AI, their analysis was descriptive. It described the world they were winning in.
But it wasn't prescriptive.
Exactly. It didn't force them to answer the hard question, how do we stay relevant if the PC market stops growing?
Wow. That distinction you just made, descriptive versus prescriptive, that feels key.
It's everything.
Because I think most of us, when we write a strategy document, we're just describing the company. We're a logistics firm with 500 trucks.
That's descriptive. It tells you what the company looks like. It's like describing a car. It has 4 wheels, red paint, and a full tank of gas.
Accurate, but useless for navigation.
Totally accurate, but it doesn't tell you where to drive or how to avoid the cliff. It's just data. It's not a plan.
So real strategy has to be prescriptive.
It has to diagnose the situation and order a specific course of action. I like to use a medical analogy here.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm the patient.
All right. You walk into a doctor's office. The bad doctor, the descriptive one, spends an hour listing your symptoms. You have a fever, your throat hurts, you're tired,
Okay.
your blood pressure is slightly elevated. Then she hands you that list and just walks out of the room.
I mean, thanks. I know it's wrong, but I have no idea how to fix it. I'd probably just go home and, panic.
And that is what most strategy documents look like, a list of symptoms. Now, the strategic doctor, the prescriptive one, takes those same symptoms and says, okay, you have a bacterial infection and you need this specific antibiotic.
Okay, that's a massive shift. It changes the meeting from like a physical exam, just checking the boxes.
This is surgery prep.
Surgery prep, yes, that is high stakes. You aren't there to just review the quarter. You're there to fix a broken bone or remove a tumor.
It focuses the mind on a specific outcome.
So the goal is to stop acting like a cheerleader doing a general review and start acting like a surgeon. But how do we actually do that?
It starts with the input. The most dangerous step is asking the wrong question. If you walk in and ask, what is our strategy for next year?
Or how can we grow?
Yeah, that's a terrible one. You are inviting chaos. It's a weak filter that lets all this irrelevant information flood the room.
But how can we grow? Seems like the standard question, though. Why is it so bad?
Because the answer could be anything. Buy a competitor, launch a new product, raise prices.
Sell hot dogs in the lobby?
Right. Without constraints, creativity is actually paralyzed by too many options.
So we need to tighten the aperture. What's the formula for a good question?
A good challenge question combines a diagnosis, the why, with a constraint, the how.
Diagnosis plus constraint. Okay, let's try to build one. Say I'm a tech company. A vague question is, how can we be more innovative?
Terrible question. That leads to beanbag chairs and ping pong tables. Not strategy.
Okay, so a focused challenge would be, how do we launch our new product line in Q3 while our engineering team is at half capacity?
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
You have the goal launch in Q3, and you have the constraint engineering is at half capacity. The brain has to actually work to solve that puzzle.
You can't just say, hire more people.
The constraint implies you can't. You have to solve for the scarcity. Here's one that I think is the gold standard example for retail. How do we regain the 15% market share lost to competitor X without lowering our prices?
Oh, that is nasty. In a good way.
It's great, right?
Because the easy answer is always run a discount.
Exactly. The constraint without lowering prices takes the easy way out off the table. Now, when you do your SWOT analysis, you aren't just listing good brand as generic strength.
You're asking, does our brand actually help us fight competitor X without dropping prices?
It turns your strengths and weaknesses from a random lift into ammunition for a specific battle.
That's the surgery.
That's it.
But I can see a trap here. Even with a good question, people see the world so differently. If I'm in marketing, I'm looking at the big picture. If I'm in sales, I'm looking at next week's numbers.
And you have to set the parameters before the conversation even starts. Think of it like a camera lens. If you zoom all the way out, you see the landscape. Zoom in, you see the bark on a tree.
And if half the room is talking landscape and the other half is talking bark,
You're going to have a very confusing meeting.
so we need to lock the focus. You call this the unit of analysis.
Right. What are we actually analyzing? The whole company, a department, a single product. Because a strength at one level can easily be a weakness at another.
This reminds me of the McDonald's story, the McLean Deluxe.
Oh, the seaweed burger.
Yeah.
A classic failure.
Yes. So here's the strategic problem. McDonald's has a massive strength at the corporate level. They are known for being fast, cheap, and consistent.
A huge asset if you want a burger and fries in under 3 minutes.
Correct. But then they tried to launch this high-end, healthy, artisanal sandwich, and at the product level, that fast and cheap reputation became a massive weakness.
Customers didn't believe it. They didn't believe McDonald's could do healthy and premium.
They assumed it was fake or gross. So if you were in that strategy meeting and you listed brand reputation as a strength, you were just wrong.
For that specific unit of analysis, the brand was a liability. You have to explicitly say, we are analyzing the launch of this specific product.
Okay, that makes sense. The second parameter is strategic horizon, or time.
Yeah, short-term versus long-term. You cannot mix 3-month goals with 5-year visions.
It gets messed up a lot, I bet.
Constantly. For example, AI regulation might be a huge threat 5 years from now. It's an existential topic.
Mm-hmm.
But if we are in a meeting trying to hit next quarter's sales targets.
Bringing up AI regulation is a total distraction. It's the smart person trap.
What's that?
Someone brings up a massive, complex future issue to look smart, but it actually derails the decision we need to make today.
That's a perfect way to put it. You have to pick a horizon. Are we doing strategy 1 to 3 years? Or are we doing tactic 3 to 12 months? Don't try to solve both in the same hour.
And the third parameter is definition of success. What does winning actually look like?
This is critical because your strengths and weaknesses depend entirely on the goal. Let's say we're considering an expensive marketing campaign.
Okay, a Super Bowl ad costs millions.
If our definition of success is profit margin, that campaign is a threat. It's a weakness because it costs a ton of money and lowers margin.
Right.
But if our definition of success is revenue growth, that same campaign is now an opportunity.
Because it brings in new customers. Wow. The data didn't change, the cost is the same, but the strategy flips completely based on the goal.
You can't solve for both at the same time. You have to choose.
Okay, so we've got the challenge question, we've set the parameters. Now, who is actually in the room? Because usually these things are just the C-suite.
Usually. And that leads to one of the most dangerous dynamics in business, the high PPO effect.
The HIPPO, let me guess, highest paid person's opinion.
That's the one. In an unstructured session, when the CEO speaks first, everyone else anchors to that view. It just kills diversity of thought immediately.
There's a painful case study about this with Yahoo and Google, isn't there?
Oh, it's a tragedy of corporate strategy. Back in 2002, Yahoo had the chance to buy Google for $1 billion.
Just $1 billion for Google.
Can you imagine? The ROI would have been astronomical. But here's what happened. The Yahoo CEO at the time, Terry Semel, was the HIPPO. He came from a Hollywood background.
He saw Yahoo as a media company.
Exactly. Banners, content, eyeballs. And Google was a tech play. It was an algorithm. Semel didn't get it. And because he was the boss, the room just validated his bias.
Groupthink.
Total groupthink. They missed out on a $1 trillion opportunity because they couldn't get past the boss's bad lens.
So how do you avoid that?
You need a strategic council.
Right.
You need diversity, not just hierarchy. And I don't just mean demographic diversity, but diversity of vantage point.
So who do we invite? Not just the VPs.
No. You need the ground truth. You need the sales rep who talks to actual humans every day and knows why they're saying no.
You need the engineer who knows the code is unstable and might break if you try to scale up.
Yes. That ground truth is so rarely in the room. And you also need a skeptic.
The challenger.
Invite someone from finance or ops who's known for challenging assumptions. You want someone to poke holes in the plan before the market does.
But you have to keep it manageable.
Rule of thumb. 5 to 7 people. That's the sweet spot. Small enough to be effective, large enough to prevent an echo chamber.
Okay, we're coming up on the end here, and I want to make sure we leave people with a clear process. How do I actually start?
Here's the rule. Don't book the 2-day retreat yet. Start with a 60-minute framing session.
Just 1 hour. That feels short.
It's intense. The goal is solely to lock the question. You draft the parameters unit, horizon, success, before you even walk in. Then you spend that hour stress testing the question with your counsel.
And there's a specific technique for that meeting, the pre-mortem.
Yes. This is your best defense against bad strategy. Once you have a question, you ask the room. Let's assume it's a year from now and we failed. What specifically stopped us?
And what are you looking for in the answers?
Specificity. If the team says, well, the culture might be an issue, that's too fluffy. It means your question is still too vague.
I want the gritty details.
You want them to say, our legacy billing system can't handle recurring payments, or the regulatory compliance in Germany will take 18 months, not 6.
That's the litmus test. If you can't name the specific barrier, you haven't defined the problem well enough.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, final call to action for everyone listening. Homework time.
Go find a zombie strategy in your organization.
Zombie strategy.
Yeah, one of those vague initiatives that just won't die but isn't moving. Something like improve culture or be more innovative.
It's just wandering around the office eating brains, but it's not doing anything productive.
That's the one. And you need to rewrite it. Turn it from a vague goal into a specific problem. Change improve culture, to how do we reduce voluntary turnover in engineering by 10% in Q3 without raising salaries.
That is such a powerful way to look at it. It takes all the fluff and turns it into a mechanic.
Real strategy requires agency.
Mm.
It's looking at the data and saying, because this is true, we must do that. But you can only say that if you know exactly what you're trying to achieve.
Stop acting like a cheerleader and start acting like a surgeon. That's the line of the day for me.
This is really the only way to operate.
Well, this has been, honestly, a bit of a wake-up call. I'm going to go look at my own to-do list and realize how many zombie strategies I have on there.
My pleasure. Go find the right question.
And to our listeners, thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.